What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Kingdom Fighters podcast. Man, this one's going to be interesting. I know I'm super excited to get into today's topic. If I had to guess, it might not be as long as the past ones, but we are really looking forward to this podcast. And thing I want to say is I think one thing that we're really going to bring to light on this is how you can have separate views as Christians and still be united.
Yeah.
So you guys probably may already know what I'm talking about, but we all know what's coming up this week.
Yeah.
Friday, October 31st is Halloween. And man, I can't tell you how controversial this is as Christians, right? And so today we're just going to talk about it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to each going to give our kind of point of view and kind of why we feel that way. And I think it's just so encouraging that we've kind of all talked about it and how we can sit here and say we have different views, but man, I still love you just the same as I did before the podcast, and I'm going to love you the same after the podcast. Same with you and same with you. So man, let's just dive right in. Let's talk about Halloween as a Christian and what it means. So who wants to start, man? Nathaniel, why don't you start us off?
I'll start because so I actually got this idea to do this podcast. I was actually driving home last week right after the podcast last week, and I was like, man, we have all this I guess stuff coming up, people's preparing for Halloween or fall festivals or whatever you want to call it. And I was like, what a great topic to bring to light and talk about, because everybody has different opinions on it. And so I reached out to Late and I was like, yo, what you think about this? And he was like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so my thought on it was I was like, let's have all the guys that, I mean, we're only able to fit like 4 people on this table, but put them at this table and get a man's perspective, because we're leading the house and stuff like that, of what Halloween means to us. And so
just real quick, did you trick or treat as a kid? Just starting off,
I did.
Trick or treat as a kid? Okay,
Yep,
so it wasn't like a thing in your house growing up to where like Halloween was a no-go, trick or treating was a no-go. It was very okay in your house growing up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was something that we did growing up. It was something Mom and Dad really didn't ever hand out candy. They were just like, oh yeah, you can go and have a good time with friends and stuff like that. Go get some candy and then what have you. We kind of get home whenever.
Okay.
But I think we probably all at some point dressed up to go trick or treating as kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was, somewhat part of our lives as our childhood, about trick or treating and going out and getting free candy and dressing up though. So I think all of us probably did that at some point in our lives.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. So that was something that, whenever I was growing up, I had that in my life and stuff. And I don't necessarily know that it was a bad thing. I think that, it was something like what you said. You just did it as a kid. It was innocent. And so getting older and stuff like that, I've realized, maybe that's not a route that I want to take, because whenever you get older, for me anyway, my view of Halloween, I believe that it is, if it is not of God, then what is it of? And so that's kind of my perspective on it. And so I'm like, if the whole Halloween stuff is demonic or any kind of not of God, then what does it stand for? And if I am doing it, what am I supporting when I do it? Whether it's, just putting a Superman costume on or something like that. God created us in His image, and so whenever we put on that costume, we're changing our identity to be something other than the image that He made. And so that's kind of just something that I've always thought about, and I just didn't feel comfortable with it. And I also think a lot of the churches that do like the trunk or treat or the fall festivals and stuff like that, I think that it's not any different than saying Halloween. I think it's just changing the name, but it's still the same thing. That's my opinion of it anyway. And so I think that it opens up a lot of doors for the enemy to creep in. There's a lot of things that go on, just like a couple of the things I've researched of the satanic rituals and stuff like that. We don't talk a whole bunch about Satanism and demonic stuff whenever we're doing ministry and stuff like that, because we want to be focused on God. But where there's light and stuff like that, you also have to remember there's also a darkness trying to come against that, but the light always counteracts the darkness. And so, but if we don't talk about it, just like whenever you're getting ready to go into battle, if you don't have a game plan, you watch film before you go play football. You got to know what they're going to be doing and stuff like that. So you got to get familiar with it. And so I was just doing a lot of research and stuff, and there was like Satanists and stuff like that would be really, they're like that's not the day that you really want to be going out and doing stuff.
Yeah, I've watched some videos like that too.
Yeah, like it gives me like goosebumps.
Satanic calendar.
Yeah, that's like the day. For us it's like Easter or Christmas or whatever. For them, that is like, people don't talk about sacrifices and stuff like that, but if you do any kind of research, it sounds bizarre, but that is the highest day for human sacrifices.
Yep, it's true.
And that sounds wild, and I know a lot of people are going to kind of call bogus on that, but I would encourage anybody who's listening to this podcast to do some research. And there's going to be some hard stuff that we talk about today. And you know what? I think I'm pretty excited to talk about it, and I'm excited to just see what you guys, what your opinions are on it and stuff. But that's just kind of me standing on my soapbox for a little while. But
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's great.
Oh, I love your opinion. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a very well respected opinion, I think, in the minds of a lot of people. I'm probably going to go last just because I really don't have, for once in my life, I don't have a lot to say on the topic. Just because. So I will say that, like, right now, with the aspect that we have, like, we have every walk of life that you could think about for having kids and trick-or-treating, because this is not so much an issue for the children, right? Because like you said, as a kid, it's just going to get candy. And the older you get, the more you start to get understanding and clarity, and you can kind of form your own opinion and start to really base your own thoughts and how you feel about things as you get older, right? So like me, I have kids. I have 3 kids. You and Glory have no kids right now. Riley, you have children that are in the age to trick or treating, and you guys are empty nesters, but you've been through it. You're on the other side.
Kids and grandkids.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So, Riley, why don't we just move down the line,
Yeah,
man?
absolutely.
Why don't you kind of give your opinion and kind of how you feel, and are your kids trick or treating this year?
No.
I mean, okay, no.
So I grew up trick or treating, obviously, like we did it as a family. I don't think I did it very long. Like, I feel like once I got into high school and I was able to make my own decision, I was like, I'm good. Not because I was like a big Christian, because I wasn't. I just really hated it. Like, I hated dressing up. It's just not my thing. It just wasn't my thing. And my wife was the same way. We've talked about it multiple times. And this is a conversation we've had a lot throughout since we started having kids, which, our oldest son is almost 4 now. So this will be his 4th Thanksgiving, I think, or 3rd.
Halloween.
Or Halloween. Almost Thanksgiving too. That's what I'm
always thinking.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Thanksgiving. Jack-o'-lanterns. I want that pumpkin pie.
That's right.
Anyway, it's Halloween, so we haven't taken him trick or treating, but we did dress him up. Sorry. They've told me that I'm really bad about hitting the table, so I'm going to try to be conscious of that. So we did dress him up the last 3 years. We just kind of took some hand-me-down costumes that we got, and we never took him trick or treating. But my wife's mom's side of the family is like really big into Halloween. Like they do Halloween parties and stuff like that. And so we always dress them up and go there. And it's all right. You get to see family and stuff. But we this year, like I said, we've talked about it multiple years, and each year it just is more and more convicting to us. And this year we talked about it, and we're like, no, we're not going to do it. It's just there's just too much celebrating demonic things. There's too much. I mean, it's just nothing good, you know. And me and my wife have both gotten to the point in our lives where we don't want to do anything that doesn't please God or doesn't draw us closer to God. And I feel like that's where you should be as a Christian. And if you are celebrate, whether you're taking your kids out or not, like those kids are feeding on those spirits, you know. And whether you take them out or not, or whether you think it's just fun, like I don't know, it's just not a big fan of it.
Yeah. And you're not a big fan of debating either.
No, I'm not. I'm so bad at talking, dude. I'm so bad at debating.
Okay,
But,
so that's the question though. Do you think it's okay that if you just dress your kids up like Woody from the Toy Story and just taking around just to immediate family, versus taking him out into this public world of Halloween?
yeah,
You know what I mean? I mean, where's your guys'
that's what I was getting
view?
ready to say. It's I kind of lost my train of thought. Was like Halloween is literally like a celebration of death and demonic things. You know, you go around, you walk around the streets, like what are you subjecting your children to? You're seeing all these blow up, you know, things on people's lawns that are, you know, people that are headless or giant skeletons or these monsters or demons or witches even. Like that stuff is dangerous. Like you can't be playing with that. If you are a Christian, like you should believe in the spirit realm and how powerful that is. Like we've talked about it all the time. There is a spiritual battle going around all the time.
Right.
I mean, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, there's a spiritual battle happening around us. And you don't realize the spirits that are just coming into your children's lives whenever you're walking around and you're exposing them to these things and they're seeing these things and it's becoming more and more normal to them as they get older. And maybe they take a liking to it and they just like form an opinion like it's okay. Like I'm a Christian, but you know, it's just a thing that people do. You know, it's all right. Like I just don't want my kids being subject to that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I want them to have an option, but I don't want them to subject. I don't want to subject them to those evil spirits so young, so early in their lives. You know what I mean? That's where we stand with it.
Yeah, I think that first off, you just have to be careful. You have to be careful with what our kids are being exposed to. We have to be careful what we're exposed to ourselves. And so the question is when these churches are doing outreaches and these churches are doing in their parking lot of the church and they're doing these things to, you know, and sometimes they look at it as they're trying to bring light in the middle of a darkness in this environment, you know. I guess the question would be is what are you dressing your kids up like? You know what I mean? Are you dressing them up as demons or devils or, you know what I mean, witches or, you know, Grim Reapers, or what are you dressing your kids up like? First off, is number one. The second thing is do you support these outreaches that the churches are trying to do specifically on this night to be part of this whole thing and open their churches up for a safe place for the kids to go and for the parents to go and for positive things to be going on? Maybe a worship music playing in the background, maybe a band playing, or maybe a pastor bringing a message on this night for these places to go. What do you guys think about that? I mean, what do you think about? Do you agree with that, or is it something that you say we're still partaking in it? I'm still not for this
Well, I
thing.
think that at that point it becomes something different, right? You're taking
Right.
yourself away
Right.
from everything that.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Is I mean, is it okay to dress your kid up like an angel or like the wise men or something like that and go to these outreaches at the churches, or maybe your church is putting it on? I mean, to go to these places where it is a safe place to go and the church is trying to do something on this night that glorifies God in this specific night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where I go with it. I think that I agree with everything that what you guys are saying 100%. Am I for it, against it? I get, it depends on the person. It depends on how you're raising your kids. It depends on how you personally look at Halloween. It depends on the wisdom that you try to think about, what your personal thoughts are on Halloween, and how are you going to be subject to that or not subject to that. And I think that's what I would say is, I think it's the environment that you're around. I think it's the teaching of your kids, and what is your walk with Christ like. And I think if you stay focused with all that, there's nothing that the world can throw at us that we can't overtake with God. And I think this is one of those things. This is one of those nights. We walk in the world daily. We walk with sin around us daily. We walk in a Halloween night, if you want to say, all the time,
Right.
because how evil the world is. But we still overcome because of what we believe in, where our hearts are. We know who our Maker is. We know who our King is. We know who we worship. And I think staying focused and grounded with that internally, that's going to come off to our kids, and we're going to protect our kids. I wouldn't take my kids to, like you were saying, the big tall skeleton places. And some people get into that. Some people love decorating for Halloween, but I would say, think about if you decide that you're going to take your kid trick or treating, what is your walk with Christ like, and where are you going to take them? And I think that's what you both are saying. Don't expose them to something that can pollute their mind.
Right.
That to give the enemy a gateway, and your eye is the gateway to all this.
Yeah.
And to make sure that you're being really smart about this specific night. But I think we need to be smart about every night. I think we need to be smart about the movies they watch as well.
Absolutely.
I think that there's a lot of things out there that Halloween is a portion, and it is a specific event. It's a specific night. But we deal with this all the time. Turn on TV, turn on your radio. We're exposed to this stuff constantly. And how are we, as our walk with Christ, as dads and moms, and to teach our kids, to show our kids, and to guide them and lead them, to make them really smart about this night, even at a young age, even at a very young age, and say, we don't support this, and this is why. And then you can really educate your kids. And I think that's part of it, educating our kids from a young age as they grow older, to the point where they make a decision like what you did, is educating our kids. And I think maybe sometimes as parents, we just want it to be cute. We want the Reese's peanut butter cups as dads, you know what I'm saying, for the kids to bring it home to us. But I think that if we just be smart about it, we be careful about it, we educate our kids, we keep our walk strong with Christ, and how that portrays, and it's gonna raise our kids in that environment that generation is going to train that generation in the same thoughts.
Yeah. So the way I view it is kind of like you were talking about. There's a sense of Halloween every day. I know you guys are talking about the most human sacrifices, and it's the highest on whatever calendar for demonic activity. But I mean, think about the world that we live in today.
Right.
Society, we are so separated
Right.
from God as a society that I don't feel like it's any more of a battle on Halloween than it is on October 30th, or that it is today, or if it is November 1st, or Christmas. You mentioned that wearing costumes changes the outward appearance, and we're made in the image of Christ. And I agree with you. But also, I think I interpret that scripture as we are made in the image more internally, right? Because you cannot follow Christ your entire life. And then once you start following Christ, or you give your heart to Jesus, what changes? The inside, not the outside. Your perspectives change, your mindset changes, your heart posture changes, right? Things that you thought were okay are no longer okay to you, right? So it's more of an inward appearance, inward reflection of Christ, because Christ is love, and Christ is mercy and grace. So that's my objective to what you said about the costumes, because for me, like, I'm going to take my kids trick-or-treating. I'm going to be very vigilant on the costumes that they wear, like you were talking about. I'm going to be very vigilant on what houses they go to, because a lot of these people, like you said, they get into Halloween. They get into the spooky and this, that, and the other. And I would say probably 95% of these people don't realize that their decorations are demonic. Right. They just see them as spooky, scary, and I'm going to scare people with this because that's the spirit of Halloween, right? Is spooky, scary, and all this. They don't realize that it is demonic, but we do, right? So the vigilance of just saying, hey, that house, nope, we're going to skip that house, and that's going to be totally fine. If my son's like, well, Dad, they're passing out full candy bars. Yeah, well, they're also passing out something else that you want no part of.
Right.
You know,
And I'm not even saying that those people are, I don't want to judge those people.
No, absolutely. And
You know
that's
what I
not
mean?
what I'm getting at.
Right. I know you're not. And I don't want to say I'm judging those people. I'm just saying maybe they're uneducated. You know what I mean? Maybe they like doing that, and to them, it's just fun to them, and they haven't. So that would be, what is our walk with Christ? To spread the good news, right? Like what you talked about on the last podcast. Do we take that opportunity to spread the good news?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Because maybe they just don't know. So I mean, it's just something that I put out. I have a lot of pastor friends, and I put out, what do you think? What's your thoughts on Halloween? And I got all kinds of feedback. But at the end of the day, they're saying this is a battleground. In order to fight the battle, we have to be out there fighting. And so what does that look like? What does that look like to us Christian moms and dads? You know what I mean? I think, like, I go back to what I was saying, just being very smart about what we're doing, and what you're dressing your kids up, and what your personal walk with Christ, and what are we teaching our kids. For me, that's the bottom line. And whether I look back now, and if I was starting my life over with kids, thank God I'm not. but I think I would probably look at it a little bit differently. You've got young kids, and they're my grandkids, and I know that you and Glory's probably planning something for the future. I don't know, but I think that as long as you're strong, you know what I mean? As long as you're strong and you know what you're teaching, you know what your walk is, you know what your faith is. I think that,
I think you just got to be careful too, like,
right.
because you can't sit here and say, our kids are not trick or treating. Well, if your kids aren't going to be out trick or treating, I hope I better not see your kids picking up Easter eggs from the Easter Bunny, right? Or there better not be any presents under your tree from Santa Claus,
Right.
right? Because I feel like this is an opportunity for stiff-necked Christians, and I'm not calling you guys stiff-necked Christians by any means. I value your opinions, and I know where your walk is with Christ, but I feel like a lot of people, they don't want to be extremely bold or be an extremist, right? Because you look at it in that terms, it's like a lot of people don't want to do that. They pick and choose, right? They're using this as an opportunity to say, this is the devil, and I'm going to voice my opinion on this. But come Easter, their kids are picking up Easter Bunny eggs, so it's like, how, if you're gonna be that extreme on Halloween, you need to be that extreme all the time. It's a fine line that you got to walk, and that's just my opinion. And then that's how I feel about it, is like, don't let Halloween give you an excuse to act a certain way just because there is a demonic side to Halloween, right? There's a demonic side to everything that we do. No matter what day it is, no matter what holiday it is, the demonic battle, the spiritual warfare is there every single day. And I would say on days that revolve around Christ, Christmas, Easter, think about how many people take their life in from November to January. The statistics for suicides jump so much.
They're high.
Right? They jump so much in those time frames, and that's because those holidays are focused more around Christ, so the enemy attacks harder. The enemy attacks harder, I just feel like this whole thing, think about to the 70s, right? Think about to the 80s. We can't, you can.
Right. Thanks.
You can
Right.
you can think back to those things, and realistically, let me ask you this. In that time, I know you weren't really in church all that much, but do you ever remember, like, even for me, I don't ever remember Halloween being such a huge topic until like the last 3 years,
Right.
And I
Right.
really feel like it's just the enemy trying to the spirit of division, right? Constantly trying to divide Christians on everything,
Yeah.
And
It was different back in the 80s. It wasn't as, I guess, commercialized as it is today. I mean, it's all about, you go to Walmart, you go to any store. I mean, it's just Halloween, Halloween, Halloween everywhere. And I don't remember it being that big back in the 80s, and it sure wasn't, I guess, as demonic as what it's portrayed to be today, that I remember. And I really didn't even think about that. And that's another thing, is I really didn't even think about until I became saved, until I became a follower of Christ.
Mhm.
You know, and you really start digging into how powerful Satan is, how powerful his workers are, how powerful that that this night could be for certain people. I get that. I know that there is a lot of things, and what you were saying about the human sacrifices on this night, it's a real thing,
Absolutely.
you know. But I'm also a battleground guy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I also want to be out in battle. I want my
Yeah.
armor tarnished.
But do
You
you
know what I
want
mean?
to take your young kids out there to participate in it?
I don't think that I
You know what I
would
mean?
take them to a battle, but I think that I would take them to a church outreach that's
Yeah, but
doing
that's
something
something
like that.
completely different,
Right.
right? You're taking it's still October 31st, but you're doing something completely different than partaking in
Right.
the celebration of
Right.
death and demonic
So
things. You
I
know?
would take my
But a
kids.
child beat Goliath.
Well,
And if you start talking about taking your kids, and I'm just using that like that's the thing that popped into my mind. A child went to battle. A child beat the giant, right?
Yeah.
So what's the, obviously,
and this is the controversy of the
right,
entire thing.
right.
You know what I mean? So to answer your question,
He was like 15, by the way.
yeah, to answer your question, I probably would if I was going to a church at that time in my life and my kids were young and I knew what I knew now. I would go and I would probably support that. I probably would take my kids there. They could see their friends, they can get free candy or whatever it be, and then we would go home. So that's probably what I would do, even still to this day, if I was walking with Christ then.
So I'm gonna say something. So the me and my buddy actually had this conversation. He was riding with me and my semi the other day, and out of nowhere I was just like, "Hey, I got a question for you." And he grew up like he's one of my best friends, and I asked him this question: "Hey, what's your view on Halloween?" And he's like, "Well, same thing that you said. Well, do you do you would you allow Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny? What's your like?" I was like, "No, like I don't do any of that. Like Easter is Resurrection Day and Christmas is what we label as Jesus's birth. And that's what that is. And whenever there's gifts, those gifts they're given just like the wise men brought gifts to Christ whenever he was born.
Mm-hmm.
That's what that is. I mean, if I'm spending like $300, Santa Claus ain't getting no.
Yeah. We actually, so it's funny that you brought Christmas up because we actually talked about that too. And I don't think we're going to do Santa Claus either.
Mhm.
Last year was like the first
If
year.
you're watching with your kids, you might not want to have them. If
Right.
you're doing Santa Claus, you might not want to have them listen to this part.
Yeah. I remember last year because Bodie actually like somewhat took to Santa Claus, and I like literally felt bad for lying to him. Like I felt convicted,
Mm-hmm.
and I just remember sitting there on the couch and like every time I'd be like, oh, that's from Santa Claus, I would just like get this pit in my stomach and be like, why am I doing this? Why am I telling my son that some like fake guy is bringing him toys and presents? You know, like
Down a chimney you ain't got.
right. Like, that dude's breaking in, bro. I mean, so I don't think we are gonna do. My bad. I don't think we are gonna do Santa Claus, but we're still gonna do Christmas because I think that it's a celebration of Christ. Obviously, there's obviously some arguments on that's not actually Christ's birthday or whatever. Who cares? It's a celebration.
It's a representation,
Yeah,
though.
who
You know, that's
cares?
that's why I said, you know, like I don't necessarily. You can go and look at the calendar. Theologians can whatever debate. You know, it's a representation,
Right.
no different than whenever you take communion. You're not actually drinking a person's blood. You know,
Right.
like no, it's a representation.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Right.
Yeah.
And I feel like I would encourage everyone, like, if you don't know where you stand, like, that's okay. And I feel like if you are a true follower of Christ and you take your kids out trick or treating and you've done the wrong thing, Christ will give you that conviction.
Yeah, you'll feel
right.
conviction.
And then
100%.
it's on you at that point to be like, okay,
Mm.
I know what I did last year and I'm not going to do it this year, or you may take your kids out and you may feel no conviction as a follower of Christ and you'd be like, okay, I did the right thing, so I think it's all like very Christ reliant, like
It is.
ask and you shall receive,
Right.
right? So I would encourage everyone, even this week leading up to Halloween, pray about it, man. Pray about it. And it's okay to change your mind, right? It's okay.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
okay
Yeah.
today that if you are completely for Halloween and you've tricked your house out in Halloween, it's okay tomorrow for you to take down all your decorations
Yeah.
and to be against it if that's what the Lord is calling your heart to do. Like, that's okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I would just be open-minded to the people listening, and just be aware. Be aware of everything that's going on around you in this moment and in this period of time.
I would also say the people that have decided or are going to decide not to celebrate Halloween because of the reasons that we talked about, or maybe some other reasons that we just haven't brought up. Like, you're gonna be looked at like the weird guy, because Halloween's so normal. I mean, we've watered down sin so much, and I'm not saying Halloween is a sin. I mean, it kind of is, but certain things, certain aspects of it, But I would just say, like, we're trying to be more like Christ, right? Like, we're not worried about other people's opinions like that. At that point, if you're still celebrating Halloween, even though you feel convicted because you're being called the weird guy, like, number one, you're letting pride get in the way. You're letting pride stand above God. You're also letting the opinions of other people stand above God, right? So you have to learn how to knock those walls down. Who cares if you're the weird guy? I don't care. All I care is about is what Jesus thinks of me. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'm at, and I don't want to do anything other than what glorifies God or what brings me closer to God. And I feel the same way with my kids, and I'm going to raise them up that way. And obviously, when they get older, they're going to have their own opinions. But right now, when they're young and they don't have an option, and they rely on me, like, I'm going to make sure and protect their innocence for as long as I can. Obviously, like, I don't want to shelter them by any means. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
At some point, I'm going to be like, hey, look, this is what happens in the world. I don't think it's okay, and I'm gonna have that talk with them. But while they're still young and innocent and almost 4 years old, my other kid is 2 years old. Like, I just don't want to subject them to anything. Like, I understand that David was a kid; he was like 15, but a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, I'm not going to go out and have them walking around giant demon statues.
I think that story is so significant because he was a kid.
Yeah,
I mean, like, it is like, if it would have been some like middle-aged man, that I don't know that story would have been as significant because of, he was bold. They always say he was a young man who came up from the flock, and if they would have said it is some middle-aged man who's been out there just killing, protecting, it wouldn't have. I don't think that would have been quite the representation. But something else I wanted to kind of bring back to what you were saying about the whole church thing and stuff was, I think that on like October 31st, that, like, whenever that is happening, we have 365 days in a year, and out of one day in a whole year, I think that it would be a time to, like, not participate in something that, I don't know, that we wouldn't feel very comfortable doing, I guess. But unless it's like a worship night or something like that, I could understand, like, instead of doing a trunk or treat or something like that, be like, hey guys, we're doing a worship night, and we're going to do a potluck. If you guys would like to bring something instead of going and getting candy and stuff like that, you're more than welcome. And where there's going to be free food, there's going to be, if you want, there's a big pot of candy, and you can get as much candy and as much food as you want. You don't have to dress up or anything like that. Just come and worship the Lord, because I think that the thing that comes behind it, like, you think about Christmas plays whenever they dress up like the three wise men. I've been sitting here kind of thinking while you guys are doing this, like, what is the difference from whenever somebody dressed up like one of the wise men on Christmas, doing a Christmas play, versus what's the difference of dressing up as a wise man on Halloween? I think it's the reason why. What are you representing? Just because the costume is the same, it doesn't mean, if it wasn't September, gosh, I keep saying September. If it wasn't October 31st,
you haven't celebrated it so long, you don't even know what day it is.
Yeah. Like, if it wasn't for that day being specified as the day you wear a costume, you wouldn't wear a costume. Like, we had our nephew for I don't know, like year and a half, something like that. And whenever Halloween came around, he always celebrated Halloween. That was just what he did. He went and hung out with his friends, and they went trick or treat, and he loved candy. And whenever that time came around, I had to put my foot down as the man of the house and say, no, like I was like, you're not going. And he fought tooth and nail for that. And he's like, well, you care if I just go hang out with one of my friends tonight?
And he was like 15. I mean,
yeah, he was like 15, 16 years old. And I was like, no, you can't go hang out with your friend, because I know what that's going to lead to. I know, like,
You were 15 once.
yep. Yeah. I'm 25 and he was like 15. So I mean, like, 10 years apart here. I'm not dumb. And so I knew what that was, meaning that him and his friend were going to go trick or treating and just not tell me about it. And so I was like, nope, tonight you're not going anywhere. You're not in trouble though. You can stay here and you can hang out. If you want some candy, I'll go buy you some candy, but you're not going out tonight. And that's, got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything, I guess, the song. But yeah, that's how I felt about it in that time. And I still stand there with it. And but
I love the different views though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do. You're totally like, it's out.
Yeah.
You were like, I was in for a while, I'm out. You know what I mean? For me, I'm not even going to say I'm on the fence. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, my whole purpose behind this was to just be careful. You know what I mean? Be careful with what you're exposed to, what you're exposing yourself to and your kids to. And I think that needs to be the smartest thing that we need to do. Keep our walk strong with Christ.
I will say, if you decide to take your kids out and go trick or treating and they're old enough to talk to them about it, and to where they might understand, like, I would at least point those things out. Like you said earlier, like, we're not going to go to that house. Like, explain why.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean? Like, if they're old enough to comprehend it and understand it, like, explain it to them. Like, you use that as your battle plan. Take them out and be like, hey, like, that's not okay.
Yeah, and this is why X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. And if you're gonna do it, if you want to stay trick or treating and you don't feel convicted doing it, and you're gonna take your kids out, like, make sure you at least do that. In my opinion, anyway.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to expose your kids to any of it, then just be part of what a church outreach is doing.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff isn't going to be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, you could just take your kids to that and spend an hour there getting probably free hot dogs or free waters and getting some candy and get some good fellowship in. And in the background, there's worship music playing. So you can expose your kid to a good thing on Halloween night if you take them to the right environment, right?
Yeah.
So
and here's what I hope that people get out of this, right? Not just an interesting conversation from different opinions, but you have your opinion, and that's okay.
Right.
You have your opinion, and that's okay.
Mm.
You have your opinion, and that's okay. I have mine. That's okay. You have yours, and that's okay.
Right.
I still love you the same. I
Right.
still love you the
Right.
same. I still love you the same.
Right.
And I think that's the biggest thing that I want to come out of this, not to sway somebody's one way or the other for Halloween, against Halloween, but just to sit here. And I'm with you. Like, I don't care. I know where I stand with Christ.
Right.
I know how I lead my family
Right.
in Christ. And I know that I have enough spiritual awareness to be like, I said, we're not going to that house. Because here's what I'm going to do. You're going to see me in Clinton. I'm going to be on my golf cart. I'm going to have my Bluetooth speaker blasting some worship music, and my kids are going to go get some candy. And you know what? December 31st, my property taxes are due. October 31st, their dad taxes are due. And that's what it is, man. I'm going to get some candy, and it's going to be fine.
Right.
So, I really do appreciate you guys coming on here and being honest. I didn't text anybody. I didn't ask anybody's opinion just because I don't care.
Well,
I don't care. I don't care. I value your opinion, and I don't want it to sound like, oh, I don't care what your opinion is. I value your opinion, but you're not going to change my opinion. You're not going to change my opinion. You're not going to change my opinion. The only person that's going to change my opinion is Christ through conviction.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's who everyone should live their life.
Yeah. And I think the blessing for me, sitting right here at this table, I've been part of your guys' lives for a long time.
Literally my whole life.
Your whole, and
Same.
and with you the same. And Nathaniel, you've been adopted in. And even sitting here listening to your guys' opinion, it makes me proud because I didn't force an opinion on you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? You guys, you gained as men your own opinion about things. I mean, I have advice, and that's what I have. And then, but at the end of the day, you take it or you don't, or you take it and you add a little bit. But you guys have an opinion. You didn't just agree with me. You didn't just agree with that. You have your own opinion. You have your own families, and I just want to make sure and say that it's okay that my sons can have a different opinion than me.
Yeah.
And I respect that. I respect that with everything that I have, and it makes me proud because I wasn't an influence in a negative way, not knowing what this night is about.
Mhm.
I'm gonna let you guys figure that out on your own, and I had to figure that out on my own. And you have taught me, even today, that your opinion means a lot, and it means a lot to me. So I thank you guys for being bold. I thank you guys for just being your own selves, your own version of yourselves. I thank you guys for being your walk with Christ is strong. I know it. I see it. We've had multiple conversations about this. And I just want to tell you guys, I'm proud of you for sticking to what you believe in as Christ lays on your heart. So I want to say I'm proud of you guys.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's very neat to see how people can come from the same house
Right.
and have different opinions.
Right.
But like I said, I still freaking love you, dude. And
Yeah.
I know that
Yeah,
you love
Freaking
me.
love you too.
And
dude.
there's love you, dude.
Love you.
And it's totally okay. And I hope people understand that this goes past just the disagreement of Halloween, right? We
Right.
can use this in every aspect.
Yeah.
Right.
Politics,
Oh, that's
religion,
big. Politics is big.
yeah, we're not gonna get into. We'll have
You know how many people I know that like their families are separated because they have
Because-
That's another podcast.
that's a whole. That one to be like.
This is Halloween.
That's 3 hours, right? We're gonna have different, but no, that's awesome, man.
I think conviction is just the big thing that comes down to this. Like if you feel convicted about something that the Lord's laid on your heart, then do whatever that conviction is.
Right.
And yeah, like that.
Right.
If you're convicted not to wear Nike shoes, I guess you're an Under Armour guy then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
That's simple. Yeah.
yeah. And so
just
just
willing to listen,
yeah.
and
Right. That's
apply it.
huge.
Are you going to be disobedient or
Right.
obedient?
Right.
And that's what Pastor Yetter was actually talking about on Sunday.
Right.
Oh, dude,
The true walk of
tough message.
faith is obedience.
The feelings of that one.
Obedience, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And that obedience falls into this category as well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It really does. And it falls back to, and I keep repeating myself, it just falls back into your personal walk with Christ
Mhm.
and how you want that light to shine through you and onto your kids.
Yeah.
And that's what the bottom line is for me.
Mhm.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and I mean that's just being a Christian, right? That's just being
It's our
a
responsibility.
committed Christian and having a 100% relationship with Christ. Like you said, you and your wife talked about it. You don't want to do anything that would displease God,
Right.
And it's like I feel like if people take their kids Halloween, they're not being disobedient. I feel like if they don't take their kids trick or treating for Halloween, they're not being disobedient. I think it's all self. You know what I mean? It all comes into here.
I will say one thing though, that I do like your idea of riding around bumping worship music. I'd probably do that.
If I'm doing it,
I'd probably do that.
my golf cart's lifted. It's got rims.
Yeah,
it's gonna be bumping.
Wear a shirt that says "You need prayer."
Yeah,
Hey, come ask me.
Pat you on the shoulder.
I
Yeah.
have one of
Get a
those.
neon sign
Yeah.
that goes on the back.
Mhm.
Prayer cart.
Prayer cart.
There you go.
Yeah,
You want to make an example for your kids and
There you
go
go.
bumping with the
Yep.
golf cart.
yeah. I'm gonna be pulling a wagon with Bibles. So if you got any Bibles you wanna, that's what I'm handing out. I ain't handing out candy. I'm handing out the word.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
So.
Good.
Anybody got anything else, man? I think this has been a great podcast, and I really truly thank you
I do
guys
too.
for coming on and sharing how you
Yeah.
genuinely feel.
Yeah.
Because like I said last week, this is being put out to the world, like literally to the world. Anybody can see this.
Right.
Well, maybe not people in North Korea. I don't know if they have YouTube, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
anybody can see this, and so I really appreciate your obedience and your, like you said, your boldness to come on here and state what you believe.
Right.
And man, what an awesome conversation. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
So I guess with that, man, let's just pray out.
Yeah.
Who wants to pray out?
Do
And
it.
those goes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Nathaniel, that's you. Yeah.
Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you so much for this podcast. I thank you for this opportunity to be around these lovely men of God and just being able to talk about you and how you're just the biggest influence in our life, more than any other man could ever be. And I pray that we will stand behind the cross and that people would just see you through every ministry that we do, every avenue that we walk. The days that we're not having good days, that we would still lean on you. And I just thank you for this opportunity to be here, that you would bless this podcast, that you will bless the people listening to it, and that you would just give them the obedience and the willpower to be able to rely on you and rely on your Holy Spirit, Lord, that you would just flood into their lives. And thank you for this opportunity. And in your name, amen.
Amen.
Guys, thank you so much for
Thank you so much. Continue to
absolutely.
make heaven crowded together.
You make heaven crowded. Don't forget, guys, like, subscribe on the YouTube channel. If you subscribe, hit that notification bell. It's literally the fastest way for you to get notified that a new podcast is out. Usually, I'll just give you guys a little secret. It's usually uploaded the night before. So if you're subscribed, you get to see it before everybody else. So if you guys would like to have or put in suggestions for any other conversations, I know we'd be willing to read through those and pray about those. And the Lord's gonna, just like he does with Kingdom Fighters, he's our front man. And just like with the Kingdom Fighters podcast, he's going to be the front man. He's going to dictate the conversations. He's going to dictate what we talk about. So, guys, thank you so much. I love you guys. We love you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Yep.
See ya.